Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I am excited to be here today to introduce you to Kate Gali. Kate Gali is an amazing Australian health coach, personal trainer, author, and the host of an incredible podcast called The Healthification, which has been going for a few years now. And she's interviewed some amazing people that I'm hoping she's going to talk to us about today. So, welcome, Kate. It's so great to have you here today. What I thought we'd do is talk about your story, talk about where you started, what's brought you over to this, being such an amazing vegan advocate, plant-based or health advocate as well. And then, yeah, talk to us about your top 10 tips to making this way of living easy and doable. And then, yeah, you can also tell us about like how else to follow you. Tell us a bit more about the podcast. Tell us a little bit more about your incredible journal that you've got as well. And yeah, I'd love to just hear your story and introduce you to my crew. Take it away.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Karen. I guess I was that typical little girl who loved animals and ate animals until I didn't. I became an ethical vegetarian for the animals at age 16 after a conversation with a girl at school. And, that would continue for 23 years actually until I actually watched the documentary Cowspiracy. And I learned that even though I was vegetarian for the animals were still dying for my food choices. And, that I'd been lied to, that we've all been lied to. I was initially really angry to hear
Mhm.
that. I became vegan overnight. And I guess to backtrack, at that point in time, I had already been working within the fitness industry for a decade. So I'd been a vegetarian personal trainer that advocated for a very high protein, low carbohydrate approach to getting and keeping a body you love. And, it had worked aesthetically for me. I was happy in the body that I rocked around in. However, it wasn't a very, very balanced approach to nutrition.
Yeah.
I am sorry to admit I ate up to 21 free range organic egg whites a day. I know you're sticking your tongue out and like disgusting, right?
Mm.
Disgusting
Mm.
for the hens, but disgusting food as well in hindsight.
Mhm.
So I became a vegan overnight. I didn't do it, I guess, the best way initially. I probably made it a lot harder on myself than I needed to.
Mhm.
And I think part of that is I felt a pressure as the vegetarian personal trainer, now becoming vegan, working in a very gym bro type of an environment. I knew everyone would be watching. And I recall one of the other trainers saying to me when I announced that I was becoming vegan, he said, "Well, goodbye, lean muscle mass." And
Mm.
I kind of had this little hesitation in the back of my mind that he might be right, that
Mhm.
maybe I would lose some muscle, maybe I would lose some strength, maybe I would gain some fat, heaven forbid.
Yeah.
And, I gave myself a talking to. I said, it's about more than your vanity. It's about doing what's aligned with your values and beliefs and ethics.
Yeah.
And so I made that change, and happy to say there were no negative side effects. It was only positive so far as the results from a health point of view, and also so far as the absolute deliciousness that I feel certain we're going to get into today.
Amazing. Sorry, I just realized we were still trying to stream live to the Facebook group, which is probably part of what was interrupting my stream.
Amazing.
Like,
Technology gremlins, absolutely love it.
yeah. So, yeah, talk to us about um, what were some of the big key learnings for you as you were making that transition from vegetarian to vegan eating, and yeah, what did you learn that you would love to
Absolutely.
pass on to people?
I want to talk about learnings both so far as the nutrition and also so far as the mindset and the relationships. In hindsight, now with everything I know, the food is actually the easiest part of living a vegan lifestyle. However, as I said, I didn't make it easy on myself from the get go. So, first up, I basically got super diligent in doing all my research on all the micronutrients you might need to hit and that you might struggle with following a plant-based approach to nutrition. And I aim to hit them in every single meal, right? I was adding spirulina to nearly everything. I was food prepping for hours every single weekend, or meal prepping more to the point. I now favor food prep where
Yeah.
I don't, I'm not making cauliflower lentil curry and eating it 5 nights in a row.
Yeah.
I'm making a batch of spicy lentils and having it in a multitude of different ways dependent on what I prefer to feel like that day.
Yeah.
That's the difference between meal prep and food prep. Um, what else? So I made it too hard on myself early days, and I relied on meal prep instead of food prep. That was the most of what I did wrong from an actual food based actions point of view.
Mhm.
Where I really created hardship for myself was in my relationships, because I had learnt this shocking new information that even as a vegetarian, animals were still dying because of my food choices. I was hell bent on sharing that information far and wide. What a cliche, what a stereotype. I was that really vocal vegan. And I would get really disappointed when people didn't respond and react the same way that I had,
Yeah.
when they saw this information and they didn't make any changes,
Mhm.
even compassionate people, even the people I love most. And, in hindsight, I now know I wasn't meeting them where they were. I was expecting them to fast track to exactly where I am, even though we all have different values, beliefs, priorities, goals, life experiences. And it really fractured some of my relationships. And
Mhm.
it really cost me a lot so far as joy in
Mhm.
life. I
Yeah.
became that seriously angry and sad and frustrated vegan. And
Yeah.
that was how I got around 24/7,
Oh, wow.
focusing on, what the people I loved weren't doing, the
Mhm.
actions they weren't taking,
Mhm.
the lives they were taking. Whereas now, I guess the learnings, I focus now more on what we have in common. If you hunt hard enough, you can find what you have in common with anyone and everyone. I've lowered the bar to raise my chance of success. So in terms of my expectations with the non-vegan loved ones in my life, who are most of the loved ones in my life,
Mm.
I now get happy with just the tiniest little improvements and progressions, because I've realized that there's a line between there's effective and then there's what I'm led by with my angry little animal rights activist
Mm.
heart.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I should and try to choose effective,
Yeah.
because that angry little animal rights activist, I wasn't getting anywhere
Yeah.
and it wasn't any fun.
Yeah.
And so that's probably the biggest learning.
Yeah, Tony Robbins, in his live events, demonstrates that push effect that we have on
Mhm.
people so very clearly. Like I remember him getting somebody up to a guy to stand up, and he said, put his fist out towards the guy, and he said, put your fist on mine. And so they met fists like this, and Tony just started pushing him, and so
Yeah,
the guy naturally pushes back.
yeah.
And it was a really good visual representation to say you cannot push people
Mm.
because people naturally push back. He said to the guy, "Why did you push me back?" And he goes, "I don't know. You pushed me. You pushed me,
Yeah,
so I pushed back." So this
yeah.
it was a really powerful demonstration to say, if you want someone to change, don't push them because they will push back, they will rebel. It's just natural human behavior. We don't even know why we're doing it. So the best thing is to be an advocate and I guess be the shining light that people want to move towards.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I love that you've learned that lesson. I think I was a little bit like you too. It's like we learn this information, right? We get really angry about it, so we take it out on everybody else.
Yeah, 100%. And to be fair, if I had learnt this information as a 16-year-old when I became vegetarian, or even much younger than that, I would have taken the actions that I took as a 39-year-old when I became vegan. I would have. That's me. That's my heart.
Mhm.
However, I am not the norm. And so I need to, as I said, meet people where they're at. And as you illustrated as well, if you attack someone, they're going to get defensive.
Mhm.
And even if
Self-protection.
a
Yeah.
100%, and even I've learnt, even if I'm not saying the words, if I'm schooling myself to not say those judgy words,
Mhm.
people can feel the judgment emanating out of you if it is.
Yeah.
So and I have to school myself on this every single day. You really have to get better at leading with that love and compassion and being genuine about it,
Yeah.
because people can feel that judgment.
Absolutely right. Yeah, and I mean, I wear a rose quartz ring every day to remind myself to treat myself and everybody else with love every single day. It's like,
Ah,
lead with love,
a
for
hundred percent.
all living beings. Yeah, I love that. Um, so we'll talk. I really want to sort of talk about your podcast and your journal like last, because they're the exciting things I really would love to
Yeah.
people to hear about. But give us your top 10 tips to transitioning to the plant-based slash the vegan way of living. I know that people really want to get some, that everyone's always after some tips. How can I make this easy? Help me not make this hard. So yeah, give us your best tips.
Absolutely. I will say the first eight of these are more actionable, aligned with nutrition.
Yep.
So we'll definitely go there because everyone wants that sort of advice, and I've
Yep.
got it. The
Mhm.
last two are more mindset related, and that is absolutely my heart. I think the work that you do with your mindset is laying the foundation for your future success, and that
Absolutely.
is absolutely key.
Yep.
However, we'll go there with the food because people relate. Number one is, rather than one main event, when I was a child, what's for dinner?
Yep.
Chicken. That animal flesh was the one main event.
Yep.
Instead, you're going to make it your priority to build a meal around your plant-based, your fibrous veg, your plant-based protein, and your satisfying good fats. And on that, a little bit further to that, your plant-based protein probably isn't going to come from one single source. It
Mhm.
might be a hunk of tofu, but all plants have protein, and there's going to likely be multiple delicious components to every single meal.
Yep.
Number two, I would say focus first on one ingredient foods. And, those transitional processed vegan burgers, I still eat them.
Mhm.
However, I don't focus first on them. They're there from time to time as treats, but your whole foods, whatever your health goal, the whole foods, so the legumes and fruits and veggies and nuts and seeds, that they should be the primary amount of your plates.
Absolutely.
Number three, I would say buy quality produce and give it the same respect that you used to give meat when you ate it, if you eat it. Like those boiled to death Brussels sprouts that we hated as children. I would still probably hate them now, right? But when they're like roasted with some macadamia oil and rock salt and rosemary, those things are delicious. And same as tofu. I can eat it raw now. However, I would never start someone off on that. I would give it a good marinating and charring and all the time and energy and love that other people give their animal flesh.
100%. I totally agree with that.
Number four, gosh, I've learned this one from personal experience. I used to call myself like, a non-kitchen goddess, wasn't very big on cooking. Number four, don't be disappointed by a recipe flop.
Yeah.
You have had plenty of bad meat meals in your days, right? Like, you're gonna have some bad vegan meals as well.
Yep.
Don't judge every meal by that flop. My first omelet was definitely a flop, probably my second and third as well. You're going to have some disappointing meals out at restaurants as well. Don't judge every vegan meal by that standard, because
Mhm.
there is so much deliciousness out
Mhm.
there.
Yep.
Number five is a really happy tip. You might have to eat larger meals to feel satisfied.
Yeah.
Bummer for those of us that are emotional eaters, such as myself. That's a really happy benefit. And with that, I would say, don't be scared of good fats. Early days as a vegetarian teenager and as a vegetarian personal trainer, I was scared of fat. I eliminated all fat from my diet for quite a few skinny, unhealthy, unfun years. Whereas now that I've eliminated all the saturated fat via animal products from my diet and I don't eat much processed crapola,
Mhm.
I get to enjoy so much more whole food fats. So the
Mhm.
avocados and the nuts and seeds, you're really going to get to enjoy a generous amount of those.
Mhm. Beautiful.
Now, number six is about finding creative alternatives for those meals that you used to love when you ate animals. anything can be vegan. Creators share so much online. All you need to do is put the little hashtag vegan whatever into your social media platform of choice: vegan ice cream, vegan pizza, vegan burgers, whatever it is. Find a few people to follow online that I would recommend, that make those recipes that you don't just think that looks delicious, you also think I might make that myself. Because
Mhm.
often I look at something and I go, gosh, I'd love someone to cook that for me. It's just too
Yeah.
much effort. I'm
Too
not
much
going to do it.
time, effort, complication, too many ingredients. Yeah, I
100%.
think we we
100%.
we we're drawn to food with our eyes, and
Yes.
we go for the ones that look the most amazing, and then we get overwhelmed by the amount of ingredients
100%.
and the amount of steps and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so definitely go for the ones that look like they're doable. Yeah, I love that idea.
100%. Number seven is find those easy plant-based protein pimps.
Yeah.
So you can have a delicious, abundant, nutritious meal that maybe is a little bit lacking in the plant protein. That's okay. You just need to come up with those easy go-to protein pimps. One of mine is edamame.
Yep.
Edamame basically goes with anything,
Yep.
or lentils that you batch cook on the weekend, or even a sprinkling of hemp and pumpkin seeds. Whatever it is, try some new ingredients, try some stuff that maybe you didn't like as a child. That is super helpful, and something I turn to all the time.
Beautiful.
Number eight, when dining out, scan the menu before you go or ring the restaurant. Be prepared. One of the things that I really want to do when I'm advocating for this lifestyle is to make it look simple and easy and delicious, and not be that tedious vegan at the restaurant that can't find anything on the menu and is caught short and has to order French fries and salad. It's super disappointing that that restaurant doesn't have an amazing option. However, it's something I'm going to deal with in advance. I'm going to scan the menu, I'm going to ring them and see what they can do, and so that it's, smooth sailing when I'm
Mhm.
actually at the restaurant.
Absolutely. In fact, I've got a friend's birthday coming up in a couple of weeks, and I looked at the menu beforehand. Thankfully, she told us where we were going. There's not much on the menu. There's some sides, and I thought, I could just mix and match some sides. I'm actually going to contact them, see what they can do. And
100%.
if there's nothing they can do, you know what? I'm going to eat first and maybe
Yep.
just enjoy a side of
Yep.
vegetables or something when I get there, so that I'm not freaking out and I'm not over hungry. Yeah.
There are so many options, and generally, when we're really polite, sometimes it's actually a fun challenge for them to make that vegan dish for a bit of a change.
Yeah.
And when they do that, I always bother to leave a review, a positive review, because those things count, and they
Yeah.
want the reinforcement. They need the reinforcement that those options should be on the menu all of the time.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point as well, because they don't know that the demand is there unless somebody's actually
Yeah.
asking for it, right? They think they're providing everything for everybody, but they don't really know that there might be more demand unless people are actually asking for it. So that's a really good point.
100%. Last two are probably my favorite because they're more mindset related. So, number nine is the more certain you are of your choice, the more certain and supportive your loved ones will be. So, we
Mm,
teach others how to treat us,
yeah.
right? And so, when I first became vegan, the first time that my mum made cauliflower cheese and I said, I'm so sorry, I can't eat it, she was a little bit disappointed.
Mhm.
She didn't make it again though. And then
Yeah.
eventually she became plant-based and she made it with vegan cheese, and all's good in the
Yeah.
world. However, if I were to bend over and say, oh, just this once, she would keep making it and
Yeah.
we wouldn't be making any progress, and that'd be conflict in my heart.
Hmm.
And instead, just that little awkward conversation up front. Now, to make number nine work, to be really certain of your choices, you really do have to connect with a why. And this
Hmm.
is why I'm really going here with the mindset component of this lifestyle change. If you're really struggling to make the lifestyle stick, it's probably not about better recipes or how to meal prep or anything in relation to the food. It's because you haven't yet connected with that really super compelling why you are looking to make this lifestyle change. For me, I'm all in it for the animals. But for other people, it might be about the planet, it might be about their health, it might be about wanting to be a positive role model for their young children. whatever it may be, connect to your why and add huge emotional intensity to that why.
Yeah.
And that is what is going to pull you through on those struggle street times, when you're turning down the non-vegan dessert, or when someone's mocking you at work for being the weak vegan, even though actually you're the strongest one in the gym and never get
Yeah.
sick. um,
High five to that.
High five.
Yeah.
So that's number 9.
Mhm.
Number 10, everything counts. Move at your own pace. There's no such thing as a bad vegan or a failed vegan. It's all about what is working for you right now. And I
Mm.
truly do believe everything counts. I've got gratitude for anyone that's trying. Even if they're slipping up, that's not failure. Just keep trying. You get a chance at your very next meal. And
Mm.
aligned with this, I would say seek out the mentors. For me as a personal trainer, I sought out the people, the athletes online that had a fit, strong, smoking hot body. And they were my role models, those vegan athletes, and they all share what they ate. I saw that they ate soy every single day, and I stopped being afraid of soy and tofu and stopped believing that it would mimic the effect of estrogen in my body and give me flabby thighs, right? So seek out those mentors that you can relate to. And also, just as important, seek out the emotional fuel that will give you fortitude at your own pace. Maybe it's not an amazing documentary like Dominion
Mhm.
first up. Maybe it's something more about plant-based athletes like Game Changers or Cowspiracy, which pushed me over the line.
Yeah.
But have that fuel that you can turn to when it does feel a little bit tough, because those times will come when it does feel a little bit tough.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And having a why is so important. Knowing why you want to do this. Otherwise, we do just we flip back to the old habits. What feels
Mm-hmm.
most comfortable, what feels safest, and allowing yourself to take those steps forwards at the pace that you can handle.
100%.
Is what is going to help keep you going. I love that. Um, yeah, and I love seeking out the advocates, the people who are doing it and doing it well, who you can follow. And I also say, like, turn off all the other noise.
Yeah.
A lot of people are getting very conflicting information out there. Well, I'm hearing this influence over here talk about keto and carnivore, and it's like, turn it all off, turn off all
Yeah.
the noise, and just simply follow people who inspire you in the direction that you want to go. Doesn't mean anyone else is right or wrong. I mean, I think keto and carnivore are absolutely wrong, but you don't have to
100%.
believe that. But if you don't want to go in that direction, just turn off all that noise, because it will become conflicting and difficult.
Absolutely. I would also say on finding someone to model, on the most effective person to seek inspiration from, don't just look at the results that they have. Look at the lifestyle they lead, the
Mm.
sacrifices they make, and check in with yourself that that is a lifestyle you would be willing to lead.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to get up at 4 a.m. 6, 7 days a week and go to the gym 4 days a week and lift like maybe I'm not your role model. However,
Mm.
there are people, and I don't have kids.
Mm.
Find someone preferably a little bit older than you, not someone 20 years younger,
Yeah.
who's in a similar lifestyle stage to you, that leads a lifestyle that you would love to lead, because you are looking to create a life and lifestyle that you absolutely love and that is sustainable for you.
Yeah, I think that's amazing to think of too. So for anybody who does want to have, be a gym bod, and be at the gym like all the time, and be as lean and as ripped as Kate, don't follow her. She's the one to be following.
Hilarious.
Okay, that's awesome. Thanks for those tips. They are obviously very actionable and yeah, very very doable for a lot of people to start work with. So, why don't you tell us now a little bit about the work that you're doing, your PT business, your podcast. I want to hear about all the amazing people that you've interviewed. I've listened to some of my favorite heroes on there, and then tell us about this beautiful journal that you have as well.
So, personal training, I guess, is the first half of my business. And because I've been doing it 18 plus years, the vast majority of my clients aren't vegan. wish that wasn't the case. I'm grateful for the impact I've had on so many of them so far as the positive upgrades to their nutrition.
Yeah, I was
There
going
are
to
a
say,
lot.
have you influenced anybody to go vegan? No?
Not 100%. I wouldn't use the word. I would use primarily plant based, definitely.
Yeah.
Many of my long term clients, as I said, some of them have been with me literally the whole 18 years that I was
Wow.
in Sydney.
Cool.
And then I up and moved to Noosa, and I'm basically starting from scratch with clients. And there's no way that I could only take on vegan clients, sadly. There simply just aren't enough of them. So, more so, I see my role is to walk the talk and bust the stereotypes and be that fit, strong, happy, healthy vegan that doesn't shove it in their face at all. However, it slips into most first sessions. Um, just showing them how like fit, strong, healthy, and happy you can
Hmm.
be, because the happy has absolutely been a learning for me. So that's PT. The Healthification podcast, absolutely my heart. We've hit 10 years now and over 870 episodes. And
Oh my God.
basically, I get to spend one on one time with the people I respect most in the world. So passionate and compassionate athletes, activists, authors, doctors, and entrepreneurs. If I see someone in the world that I just have mad respect for, I reach out and say, "Hey, can you come spend an hour with me?" And often they will.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
so
Oh,
many
wow.
highlights. One of my early highlights probably was the first time I got to interview Dr. Melanie Joy, and she obviously is amazing. And also, that was the first podcast and one of the only podcasts that both my mum and dad listened to. And they became more so vegan allies after hearing someone with her credentials and as articulate as her speak, and also someone who wasn't a relative, because I think everyone listening will probably relate to the fact that the people who love you most probably least want to hear advice from
Yeah.
you,
Yep. Hmm.
sadly,
Not expert for them because we're, particularly to our parents, we're still like the little 5-year-old, we
100.
don't know anything.
I
Yeah.
I'm that moody, selfish little 16-year-old who did nutrition really, really wrong early days as a vegetarian, right? That doesn't matter that I'm nearly 2 decades on as a health professional with
Yes.
vastly, like, with so much experience and clients that have mad respect for me. Doesn't matter, means nothing.
Yeah.
So a few more of the highlights. There have been so many. Probably Ingrid Newkirk from Peter was another top highlight, just because I have mad respect for the work that Peter does. I always have.
Hmm.
I'm an animal rights activist at heart, and just to spend the time with her and to see, despite everything that is said about that amazing woman, to see how warm and genuine, and I will say it, open hearted, which is one of the things I most respect. Yeah, she's a badass and as persistent as all hell. She is warm and open hearted
Yeah.
as well. And so getting to speak with her
Yeah.
was an absolute highlight as well. Non-stop highlights. I love the podcast.
That's so cool. I think some of my favorite heroes I've heard on your podcasters too. Like you've interviewed Dr. Will Bulsiewicz, Michael Greger, Neil Barnard. I'm pretty sure you've done him. Have you interviewed Brooke Goldner?
Yep.
You have, yeah. I don't
Yep.
think I've heard it yet, but I think I saw you talking about it. So I think I might have listened to it, but I've got to go back and find that one. Yeah. So yeah, you've listened to, I mean, so you've interviewed a lot of my heroes in this space as well. So that's really cool. So everyone, the Healthification podcast, there will be show notes. There will be links to all of Kate's profiles and profiles and the podcast as well. So make sure you click on those if you want to go and have a listen. And yeah, tell us about this gorgeous journal that you have made. Do you have a copy of it there, by the way?
I do. It's in the background. Well, I'll grab.
Right.
So it is a big, beautiful beast. This is last year's version. It weighs nearly a kilo and it is 508 pages, and they've all been scribbled over, full of beautiful artwork. And I'll tell you why this one came to be. Basically, Basically, a number of years ago, quite a few years ago now, my dear mum bought me a beautiful gratitude diary for Christmas. And it was a diary I used to plan my day to come. I love to make lists and tick them off. And it was a stunning work of art. And it had all these writings every single month about the sun and the moon and the stars. And I never read them. And I thought, what about if all those writings instead were all the best tips to help you live and love a healthy plant based lifestyle? Everything that I've learned from almost 2 decades as a personal trainer about, yeah, the nutrition and the exercise, much more importantly, about creating the most effective mindset to make those most effective eating and exercising actions stick
Mhm.
and be joyful and be sustainable. So, that was how the Plant Positive Journal came to be. It's full of stunning artwork and recipes and Sunday self cares every single week. And I think of it as my little vegan Trojan horse,
Mhm.
because I think that someone like myself who's really into time management and more so mind management, they might pick it up just to use it to plan their day to come. And then bit by bit, they might start to read some of this plant based and
Mhm.
vegan stuff. And
Yeah.
hopefully, I'm planting little vegan seeds all around the world as I send that thing out. So that was version one. I'm literally hitting print on version two almost as we speak.
Wow.
So version two completely updated, all new artwork and recipes, and it'll be birthed into the world in the next couple of months, actually.
Oh my goodness, that's so cool, Kate. Yeah. So, can people get the current one? Is
They
that,
can.
yeah. All right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the link you've given me. Is that right?
It is. The easiest way to get to anything is just via strongbodygreenplanet.com. If you went to /journal, it would link you up, but it's pretty easy to find. Wherever I am, links to the journal are,
Yeah.
because it's absolutely my heart,
Autumn
and
season.
I just want to get that thing out into the world because it is so heavy.
Mhm.
And I've posted probably a couple of hundred to the US by now. There's also a fillable PDF version because avoid the postage, right?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, yeah, um, for anybody who is overseas and wants to download that one, we'll have the PDF link there for you as well. So yeah, grab the PDF version, and that way you can just print it out at your own cost or upload it to an iPad. And like I do, I upload everything to my iPad and scribble on it there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a beautiful work of art. It's something that I wanted to, it kind of started down that road of creating too, and I've got a version of it, but it's like 1 month. It's not a year. Canva started crashing on me when it got to a month. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just do it for a month. So yeah, that's amazing, and yeah. So if anyone would like some, motivational tips, and to plan and record their day, and their mindset and all that sort of stuff, but for sure grab a copy of that beautiful journal and follow the podcast, and yeah, and follow Kate on all the social links that we will put up as well. So it's been amazing chatting to you, Kate. Yeah, I've loved our conversation. I love your journey. I love the advocacy that you are out there doing in the vegan and plant-based and health spaces. Do you have any last final words for everyone today?
I would say thank you for sticking with us. It has been an absolute pleasure having this conversation. And for anyone that's struggling, if it's not easy for you yet, absolutely have faith in your ability to stick with this lifestyle long term. It only does get easier. And I think one of the most important lessons that I learned in business, not in plant based, but it absolutely is applicable to plant based, is to learn to cultivate a certainty of self or to back yourself 100%. The last few years for all of us, we've had it shoved in our face really that you can't have certainty in circumstances. You
Mhm.
don't know what's coming today, tomorrow, next month, next year. I have absolutely learnt that. I'm sure everyone has. So you can't rely on circumstances. You can't rely on other people. You can rely on you.
Mhm.
And that is, I guess, my like strongest wish for everyone listening is to cultivate that certainty of self or to learn to back yourself 100%. And, you know, if you want to make that apply to a plant-based lifestyle and your ability to stick with it and live it and love it long term and sustainably, then that would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, beautiful. That's exactly true. I teach all my clients that their circumstances are something that are completely out of their control, right?
Yeah,
We cannot control that, but we can control how we think, how we feel, how we act. We can
yeah,
control everything that is within us, no matter, and we need to learn how to do that no matter what's happening out there in the world. So that's why we get to create the life, the health, the body that we desire. Fantastic. Well, it was so good to chat to you today. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll send you a link to this when we've finished as well. But yeah, for now, thank you so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
perfect. Thanks, Karen.
Bye. Bye.